I want to show you how to build a common page, a ordinary page in a magazine or a flyer, poster, any kind of a printed page where I've got an image, a headline, a subheadline, and two columns of body copy. Now, let me show you the example to start with. This is the finished product. The picture of Niagara Falls, a long panorama that fits within the margins of the piece, headline, a subheadline, and two columns of body copy that start on the same line, end on the same line. And so that's what we're going to build. And the parts are in place, and we are going to just put it together. Now let's start with the page to begin with nothing there but so far with the guidelines. I've got my perfect page up. I've got pathfinders and group, color and group, character and group. I've got my toolbox set up here. I'm with my preferences are showing my dotted gray guidelines. My guidelines are locked and I have coordinated my ruler, so I drag the the crosshair box into the upper left corner, and I get the 0 out to 8.5 and 0 down to 11. I've established a page format with a 1-inch margin on the left, a 1-inch margin on the right, and those are guidelines. I've clicked on the ruler to get the ruler up. It's Command R, and I put it into tick marks here in my ruler above and on the side. So there's a 1-inch margin here on the left, on the right, and across the top. This is my center line, 4.25, and I've given guidelines at 1/4 of an inch to the left and the right. This would be what would be called the gutter in the columns, where it's the space between the two columns. The bottom margin is more than an inch. It's 1.25 inches, because the bottom margin on a page should be a little greater than the side margins. And I've got where the column should start. This is my column. I've predisposed my column size and put in here the another line that's showing that I'm lining up the type on one column should line up with the type on the other. Now, to bring the elements together here, I have to make them or place them. And in the fact of the image, I'm going to go into Photoshop, and I have my you can open your version, Niagara Falls image. You can open that in Photoshop, because I process it there, and this is the image I'm going to use, and it's approximately the right size to go in my image in my image area. This is 400 dpi. It's wide enough and tall enough to fit my space. If I select this to get this image here, I hit Command A on my clipboard, and it's open in Photoshop, and you see the little marching ants dancing around it. And I copy that to the clipboard. Command C copies it to the clipboard. I go back to my Adobe Illustrator and hit Command V, and it pastes itself into Illustrator. So it's a matter of Command A as you open it in Photoshop, then Command C. Command A has selected the entire photograph, then Command C puts it on the clipboard. Then you come back over and click back into Adobe Illustrator, and your page comes back up again here. You have to construct your page, but there it is. And then you merely take this image and place it here where it's going to go. Now, you notice it's a little wider than, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on my guideline, and then take my scaling tool and hold the Shift key down and mechanically back that up until it's the same width. Yep. Okay, then I'm going to use the up arrow and put it right at the top of the margin here. Now, that may not be the final size of my image, because I've got to have some May have to take some of the sky out to get the room for what's going on here with the headlines and subheadlines. Now, let's go back to the common page example. And I've opened both of these in Illustrator, and they show up here across the top, and the just multiple documents show up here. And this is the one I'm working on, the common page build document. But I've also opened in Illustrator the common page example. If I go back there, you can see I've already set up my headlines here. I'm going to take, and subheadline. I'm going to virtually take these two letters, or lines of letters, and they're both selected, and here again I'm going to copy them, Command C. That puts them on the clipboard. It eliminates the image of the Niagara Falls and puts this lettering on the clipboard. Then I'm going to go back to my common page build and hit Command V as in Victor, and it puts those right back in there. And now, because they're already sized, I can lay them in there and say, okay, that's where that's going to go. Now, I know that my column, I've pre-measured my column, and it's going to start up in here, so I need to gain some space back there. One of the tricks in helping to get your size your picture a bit better is this. It's sitting there, and it's a Photoshop image in Illustrator. I'm going to come down here to my tools, and I'm going to make my stroke and my fill nothing. Then I'm going to take my rectangle shape, and I'm going to make a rectangle that is invisible. It's nothing fill, nothing stroke, but it's there. And I'm going to start a little bit into the picture, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to eliminate some of the sky, and I'm going to come across, and I'm a little wider in the picture because the picture width is okay, but I'm going to come down and take out some of that sky. I still see sky and vapor raising off the waterfall, but I'm making it not so tall, the picture. Okay, now what I need to do is, this was the last thing I built, so it's in front. It does need to be in front for this process. I'm going to do a marquee and select both that invisible rectangle and the original picture. And there's the rectangle. It's invisible, but I can see it when it's selected, and here's the original bounds of the picture. Now, on your keyboard, hit the Command key and the 7 key. And what that does is that trims itself so that now the picture I see is what is confined in that invisible rectangle. See, I've gained some space here. Now I do Command G with that so that these images, the image and the outline stays together, doesn't move on it, and then I'm going to take that shape and just up arrow it until it reaches the top of my margin. Then I can take both lines. And remember, there's two lines here. I'm going to raise them up and hold the shift key down so they raise straight up, and I'm going to raise them up so that I've got plenty of room now between the top of my column and where the headline and subheadline are going. All right, now comes the interesting part of putting the copy in. I take my text tool, and I'm going to go here, and that text tool looks like a page book open, and there's a little cross on that center I-beam looking thing. That's where I'm going to place where that little cross is, right there in my corner. And I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to form a box. And I'm going to use the guidelines that I've set up there as my the size of my box. So there's my first column. And if I go back to my arrow and I click on it, this is a column of empty type. It has a little box up here in the upper left corner and a little box in the little right corner, as well as the traditional anchor points for a rectangle. All right, now I need to copy that. I want that same thing, so Option key, click on the edge here and pull it over and put this new one, use the Shift key so it comes straight over, put it over here on the where the other column's going to go. Now you say, well, what happened to them? If you come back here, they're invisible, remember. When I come back here and pick them both up, there they are. They're being formed by the guidelines, the 1-inch margin and then the 1/4-inch margin from the very center of the page, and they're both the same size. Now, I need to link these columns together so that when I put the type in, the overage from one column spills into the other. And the way that's done is that it's like having 2 glasses of water, and you're going to pour twice as much water into the first column or cup or glass is the second. So you put a little hose between them, so when you pour water into the first glass, when it gets to the top, it spills over or flows over into the second glass. The way to link this is you take your black arrow and you click in this little box in the lower right here, and then when you come up here to the next box on the second column, you see that chain? There's two links there. That virtually means we're going to link these together. And when I click inside that box, a big blue arrow shows up and says you're linked from this one, and it'll flow into that one. So now it's the matter of going and getting the type. I'm going to have open my Word document, or the Word program. When I go to the Word program, here is the copy that I'm going to put in those two columns. The copy is written by somebody else. It's not likely that the graphic designer is going to write the copy. Somebody has written the copy, and it's come to you by email, by a CD, by a download off the internet, any number of places. But it's an electronic transfer. So here I'm going to hit. There's all my copy, and I'm going to hit Command A, and that selects all of the copy. Now I'm going to put it on the clipboard. Command C. It's sitting on the clipboard. Now I'm going to come back down here and reopen Illustrator. On a Mac, here's a little AI down there, Adobe Illustrator. On a PC, you have to go and find the Adobe Illustrator, go back to it, and then take your text tool and click in the upper left corner of the first column. And you see the little blinking cursor starts to happen there. They are still linked. All that other information goes away, but you've already linked them. Now when I hit Command V, it brings all that copy in and puts it in place. Two columns, one side. Now notice over here that little red box that says that for some reason I'm going to get a hold of that column, and I think there's one word that's off. It's two words off. See, I've got two lines additional on this side. So I'm going to come over to this guy. See, he's a little high according to my lines. And I'm going to pull this first box down by one line. It backflows. One line comes to here, and I've got it all the way to there. And I've got now, see, they're even. They were two off. One came back, and they came back up. And so there I am even. So that puts the font, the copy back into the columns, and there's some things you have to watch for. Remember, I put this guideline right here, and I'm making sure that the type on both columns is the same place. You can't have one a little higher than the other. They start and they stop in the same place. And a lot of times, I preset these guides, but sometimes you have to put these things together and push them back and forth and flow them up and down and get them to work right. And this may give away more space, make it smaller, make the picture smaller. It's called a shoehorn capacity to get all these things together. But these are the elements that I want you to get into this common page. The image of the falls, the headline, the subheadline, and these two columns of type. Now remember, the headline is just type on a baseline. There's no box. You don't have to draw a box with your text tool. You just click and start typing, and then get it sized and centered or whatever you're going to do. The same with the subheadline. It is a separate line. It is a separate entity that I can control and handle. The body copy is different though. I did take the text tool and I did draw a box, and I did copy it and make a second box so that they're exactly equal. I did click with my black arrow from the lower right square to the upper left square, and it formed this blue line, which tells you they're linked together. Then I went to my Word program, which is open. Command A selected all that copy, and when I came back to Adobe Illustrator, I took my text tool and clicked in this upper right box. It took away all of the lines except it's showing the two columns. And when I hit Command V, I pasted that copy into this column, and it hit the bottom and spilled up into the next one. And I got my lines balanced so that now the copy on each side is the way it should be for this common page. Now, what I'm not dealing with is a page number, which would be in the lower right or the lower left, or there might be some other decorative lines that you would put across the base. This is just a very simple page, what we call the common page. And I want you to make your own common page, and that would be assignment or project 11 in your assignments, is this common page.